Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
First, the bad news. SAP Business AI won't help you generate cubist versions of your family's holiday photos. But it will help you understand which supplier is best to help you roll out your plant-based packaging in Southeast Asia, or identify the training your junior project manager needs to rise up the ranks, and automate repetitive tasks while you focus on big innovations, so you can be ready for the next opportunity. Revolutionary technology, real-world results. That's SAP Business AI.
Whether you're a diehard sports fan, a hopeless romantic, or a comedy aficionado, the Xfinity 10G network was made for streaming it all. Worry less about buffering when streaming your favorite shows, movies, or live sports, and enjoy a better way to watch. Xfinity gives you a reliable connection for streaming, plus all the entertainment you love all in one place. Fear not, because now you can finally sit back, relax, and stream your favorite entertainment and sports like never before with the Xfinity 10G network.
American soccer fans, welcome to episode 51 of the Stars and Stripes FC podcast. Donald Wine here, co-manager of Stars and Stripes FC, your source for all things U.S. national teams, the players that comprise them, and everything else surrounding the game of soccer in the United States. We have a Gold Cup schedule. Finally. It took long enough, but we finally have one. The Gold Cup roster was announced just yesterday on Thursday, and we want to quickly break down the road to a title for the United States. We'll also look at all the other groups very quickly, but I want to start with this road because it's taking us long enough. And as fans, we like to plan these things out in advance. Concacaf doesn't always like to do that. It's the greatest confederation in the world, but they have their flaws. And one of their flaws is deciding when to release these announcements. And I just want to start with this announcement. The Gold Cup announcement of the venues, the dates, and the teams where they're playing is probably the worst announcement I've ever seen. Straight up. It was awful. CONCACAF needs to do better. They need to improve their marketing for these games. They announced the Gold Cup final about a month ago and is going to be in Las Vegas, but they didn't tell anybody else where all the other matches were. Then, inexplicably, about 3 weeks ago, they announced the venues, and usually that comes with dates, times, and where teams are playing so that teams can prepare for their road to the Gold Cup final. That didn't happen. They just released venues. So for 3 weeks, all we have known is where these games will be played, but we did not know where we would be playing them. We did not know where the United States would be. We didn't know where Mexico would be. Not even Curacao knew where they were going. Finally, yesterday, after what seemed to be a little bit of a teaser the day before, CONCACAF finally announced the Gold Cup schedule, and they did it in epic fashion by messing it up not once, not twice, but 3 times. So we're used to that around these parts. I know those of you who love CONCACAF is used to that at this point, but I had to point out that that was abysmally bad, and they need to figure out how to make that better and make it so that it's announced well in advance. And I know that COVID had something to do with it. I know the restrictions and how many seats and all of this stuff was involved, but we could have had a better rollout than this, CONCACAF. And I know you can do better. And so I'm asking you to do better. No, better yet, I'm demanding you do better because this was awful and there's nowhere to go but up. So besides the terrible announcement, we do finally have a schedule, and I want to go through it quickly for the United States. Most of you who travel for the Gold Cup or any other major tournament know that the U.S. or any other team usually goes from place to place, city to city during the group stage. This time around, the United States men's national team will be playing in one spot for the group stage. Just one. They're basically having a home base, and that home base is Kansas City. Children's Mercy Park will be the site of the first 3 games for the U.S. men's national team during the Gold Cup. All 3 group stage matches for them will be played in Kansas City. So get your burn ends ready, Kansas City. Get your barbecue. Get gates to make sure sauces are on deck, because we're coming. We're coming for a whole week. We're planning up shop, and that's what's going to happen. So let's break down when these games will be. The United States will first open up the Gold Cup on July 11th against the winner of the prelim match 7. So for those of you who don't remember, there is a preliminary round before the Gold Cup begins, and it's going to take place the week before the Gold Cup starts. So we won't know who this team will be until around July 6th. Now, we do know which 4 teams it would be possible to slip into that slot. It's Haiti, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Bermuda, and Barbados. So one of those 4 teams will be the opening opponent for the U.S. on July 11th in Kansas City. That game taking place at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on that evening. They then have a few days off, and on July 15th, again in Kansas City, they will take on Martinique in the second game of the group stage. And finally, what will probably be the big game of the group stage across the Gold Cup, it's U.S. versus Canada. It is July 18th. Again, Children's Mercy Park will be the home for that match, and that will be the one where theoretically both teams, if they play as expected, should enter that tied for first in the group, with the winner winning the group and the loser finishing second. But obviously, this is the Gold Cup. Anything can happen. We have seen teams implode before. Usually it's not the United States, so we won't assume anything when it comes to the Gold Cup or any major tournament involving the United States. Let's just hope we get out of the group stage and move on to the quarterfinals. If that happens, we move to the quarterfinals, we move to that knockout stage bracket as Group B winners or runner-up, we will go to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Those quarterfinal matches will take place on July 25th. So there will be a week off for the U.S. should they emerge from the group in first or second place. And that's great, because usually these games come quick and fast. And it seems like there's going to be a shift between the group stage and giving these guys time to get to where they need to go, make sure all the quarantines and testing is in place so that it is a safe environment for everyone to play. And then the quarterfinals will happen. But then they come fast and furious. July 25th, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium. I call it Jerry World. It is the site of the quarterfinals on July 25th. If they win that match, this is where it gets tricky. The semifinals will take place on July 29th. One semifinal will take place at Q2 Stadium in Austin, the new Austin FC home that will be slated to open next month. The other semifinal at NRG Stadium in Houston, which is home of the Houston Texans. As of right now, we do not know which one the U.S. would slot into should they win. However, that will be determined at the end of the group stage by Concacaf. And the idea behind it is likely to make it so that if the U.S. and Mexico end up on opposite sides of the bracket, which is what is expected, they can put one team in Austin and one team in Houston, and they would determine that track after the group stage is complete and the knockout stage is determined. So as long as the U.S. and Mexico are on opposite sides of the bracket, expect the U.S. to go to Austin and Mexico to end up on the track to play in Houston at NRG Stadium. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, things can change depending on how the group stage turns out, so we have to wait and see what happens. But, of course, the winners of both semifinals will advance to the Gold Cup final, which will be in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders, on August 1st in the evening here in the United States. So that is your path for the United States. It is Kansas City, Dallas, Austin to Houston, and then Vegas. Very simple. Go south, then go west to get the prize. That is what we're looking at. And obviously, we still don't know 3 of the teams that will be in this Gold Cup. That will be determined in the prelims from July 2nd to July 6th. But it surely sets up for the United States to have a nice path to a title. When we come back, more on the Gold Cup and how the road to a title shapes up for the United States. Okay, we're back. We're talking the Gold Cup schedule. And as I mentioned before the break, we know the path or the road to a Gold Cup title for the United States. It is Kansas City for the group stage, all 3 matches. Then it is Arlington, Texas, and Jerry World will be the site for the quarterfinals. Either Austin or Houston, most likely Austin, and then Las Vegas. So Texas obviously is going to be the center of life for soccer for quite a bit this summer, with a lot of the matches taking place there. Mexico is basing their entire group stage either at Jerry World or at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. So they will stay in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for the group stage. Then they go to Phoenix and come back to Texas for the semifinals before returning to the West in Las Vegas if they make it to the final. So, but for other teams, they may have to come from other places. You have Jamaica and Costa Rica, and there's teams who could be playing in Florida. There's teams who could be based in parts of Texas as well. You have Kansas City, where the United States and Canada will be playing 3 matches. So it's going to be kind of centralized for the most part, outside of a few games. But for the United States, if there's one place that they could put them for the group stage, Kansas City is the first pick. Kansas City, in my mind, is the best soccer stadium in Major League Soccer. It's one of the best venues to have a game. It always has a great atmosphere, a great home field advantage. And I think it'd be a nice post up for the United States to be there for 3 matches to gain their confidence as we look to get a Gold Cup title, our first since 2017. And the one thing that will really affect other teams, notably Canada, is that heat. And I mean, last time the United States played in Kansas City for a Gold Cup, it was one of the hottest games on record. It was 115 heat index. People were basically not drinking beer. Like, imagine that. People weren't drinking alcohol. They were forced to drink water the entire time and still weren't keeping up. It was abysmal when it comes to the heat. And it was a heat wave that spread across the entire United States. And anyone who went to that game, and I'm not one of them, I just know from that day how hot it was. But anyone who went to that game will tell you how hot it can get in Kansas City, and people are not looking forward to that. So everyone who is going to Kansas City, prepare for this. Get ready. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. It is going to be sticky, and it's going to be a mess. But our men's national team is going to be playing there, and they need us to be there, so we need to be ready. And then we go to Dallas, Arlington, Dallas-Fort Worth. Playing in Jerry World is going to be a big test because, one, we can fill that thing all the way up to the brim. They just had a boxing match there that had 72,000 people, and that wasn't full. It wasn't sold out. So Jerry World can fit up to 100,000 people in there if they wanted to. So it is going to be a big test to get to that quarterfinal and see if we can draw a bunch of people out to support the United States men's national team. Then it's on to either Austin or Houston. Austin has gone from not having a match yet. They still have not opened up Q2 Stadium, but they will now have a potential men's match, and they already have a women's match next month. And this is all, again, before they have even kicked the ball inside their own stadium. So that is incredible for Austin. I'm really looking forward to that. And I know people in Austin are as well. But if it's in Houston, again, that's another big challenge, a big stadium to fill. And theoretically, if we are on that side of the bracket, it means that we're probably playing Mexico in that semifinal, which I think everyone can say we would like to have that in the final and not in the semifinal. And then there's the Gold Cup final in Las Vegas. And everyone's excited about Las Vegas. I mean, everybody. It will be the first time the U.S. has ever played in Nevada if they make the Gold Cup final. And that is over the course of their entire history. That is a long time. So it will be interesting to see how that shapes up. A lot of people love Vegas. I know a lot of people are already excited about it and have made their travel arrangements. They may have had to do it a little bit and change a little bit because there's only 2 days rest for these teams between the semifinal and the final. And for fans, it gives a quick turnaround to make travel plans and go from Austin or Houston to Las Vegas. So there's your Gold Cup schedule for the United States. It seems to be very straightforward, but at the same time, that's why they play the games. And we're really looking forward to it. It is a great, great tournament. And while a lot of people say this is not something that we should be sending our top lineups for, and even Greg Berhalter is not going to send his A lineup. We will have a very strong lineup for the Gold Cup. We will see those rosters probably towards the middle or end of June. But for now, that will do it for episode 51 of the Stars and Stripes FC podcast. Don't forget, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and please rate and review. It helps us out a lot. Again, if you have questions, ssfcpodcast@gmail.com is where you want to go. I like hearing from readers, and I love hearing topic suggestions that we can do on future podcasts. We will be back next week. Enjoy everything. There's a lot of soccer on, so go watch it. Take care, everyone.